Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Board with Each Other, the board gaming podcast that looks at board games and asks the question, how well does this play at two players? Whether that's with your significant other, a BFF, or your buddy for the apocalypse, who you're trying to kill time with until the next wave of zombies arrives. I'm joined as ever by my lovely wife and co-host, Hannah Kelly.
Hi, guys.
And today we are reviewing Zombicide Gear Up, the flip and right, quick and easy version of Zombicide. In Zombicide Flip and Right, you take on the role of a zombie slaughtering character, and you have to defeat waves of zombies led by a boss by the magic of Tetris-shaped bullets, projectiles, stabbings? I don't know. It all completely makes sense. How the game works is you take control of a character, and that character comes with 4 weapons, each color-coded. On each of those weapons, there is an associated geometric shape. So a number of squares, basically. You then have to deal with zombies that move through 3 street locations towards you, represented on the left side of your player mat, by flipping a card over, and that card will tell you which weapon you can use, which color. You can then draw that weapon's hitboxes on the boxes on the zombie card. Once all the boxes on the zombie card are filled in, the zombie is dead. Yay!
What?
You go through 9 turns of that, so flipping a card. On the first 2 turns, you just flip a card, you use a weapon, and the card also signifies which zombies, of which there are 2 types, fast and slow, move. So if they move down towards you. If they are on the 3rd spot, they do damage. On the 3rd turn, until the 9th turn, you also flip over a spawn card, which will tell you how many and what type of zombie, there are 2, normal and special, to spawn in front of the players. The numbers depending on the difficulty that you're playing.
And the number of players.
And the number of players. Once you have gone through those first 9 turns of just plain old zombie, you reset everything, and the boss comes into play. The same mechanism, but the boss swaps which player it is in front of each time, so that only that player, usually there are exceptions through special rules, can damage the boss and be damaged by the boss. Just like before, once you reach turn 3, there are special boss cards which tell you what the boss does. So it might attack, it might use a special ability, or it may spawn more zombies. If you kill the boss, you win the game. If you are either player is knocked out, taken up more damage than your health, you lose the game. And if you run out of time and the boss is still alive, you lose the game. Fairly simple.
One thing worth mentioning, every time you kill a zombie, be it an elite zombie or a normal zombie or elite zombie, you get to essentially level up one of your weapons.
Yes, so there's 2 upgrade slots for each of your weapons, except for your special weapon, which comes fully upgraded. And each time you upgrade a weapon, they gain more abilities. The abilities are usually, most of the time, to do with crossing off either ammo or shield icons on the zombie cards. When you do so, you gain ammunition, which you can use to cause extra damage or activate weapon special abilities. When you gain shield icons, you get armor, which means you take damage on there before you take damage on your health.
You also have long range weapons.
Yes, one of the upgrades you can get is long range weapons, which allows you to damage a zombie or boss that is in front of another player, which is very important when the boss phase comes around because it allows you to take them down quicker. You can also cross off damage icons on the zombies' cards. They have base damage, but they also have additional damage within their hitboxes, and if you take those out, they do less damage if it comes to that. Very important when you're fighting the boss, because boss does a whopping amount of damage unless you hamper its abilities down a little bit before it starts attacking you. That is pretty much all there is to it. That's the whole game, unless you think I've missed anything.
No, I think that's about it.
Okay.
Runtime?
20 minutes,
Yeah,
I'd
I would
say.
say about 20 minutes.
Yeah, this is a fairly light and quick experience.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's worth mentioning that neither of us have ever played actual Zombicide.
Yeah, so I've got no idea how it
No
compares
idea
to the
how it
original.
compares. This is another one that I picked up randomly in the Games Gone Mad sale of 2024. We've played a few sort of roll and writes and flip and roll, whatever you want to call, whatever category of writing on the boards is at this point. So I thought we'd give it a go.
Yeah. Okay, so shall we move on to scoring?
Yes, I think so. I think
Okay.
this is going to be a fairly shortish one compared to our usual main episodes, but more here than a bite size. So yeah.
Okay. So first up, we have components. So what's in the box? Um, what I will say about this is, whilst the box is really, really small, oh my god, is it a table hog?
Yeah, I mean, not compared to some things, but it takes up a lot more room than you would expect,
Yeah.
mainly because you have to lay out the 9 turn cards, which
Hmm.
are not massive, but they're coaster sized.
Yes.
So imagine lining 9 coasters up and then another row of 7 coasters. And then you've got your player mats and the coaster sized zombie cards
As well.
to the left of that.
We've kind of mitigated that by almost stacking them up.
Where we
Um,
tried to play it traveling because
when we,
that's
yeah.
when it was an issue.
So there
Yeah.
is a way of making it smaller, but for a small box, quick and easy game, I think I was surprised at how much space there is.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I mean, I get it with the zombie cards because
Hmm.
you need the space and it needs to be clear what you're crossing out. So
Hmm.
they are the right size. They're
Yeah.
not too small. You're not sort of struggling to see what you're crossing out and therefore what damage you've done.
Do you think the artwork's really good?
Yeah,
It's
no,
quite fun, quite
yeah,
pop start. That's not the word I'm looking for. Not pop.
no. It's cartoony.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's cartoony. It's not sort of horrifying. I mean, we played this with our 6-year-old and she had no issue with the artwork as such. It was all
yeah.
fine.
But I think it's quite fun and it's
Yeah.
quite engaging. Like the color scheme's really cool.
Mm.
Quite like that. I like the way that it looks.
Yes, it does look. It looks nice.
Yeah.
The player sheets are really big and chunky. They look good. The artwork's good.
What I
Um,
will say though is that some of the iconography is a little bit confusing. So on your character sheet with your upgrades, it's really handy because it will have all the iconography listed out
mm,
there so you can see what it does. But quite often I do get confused between which one gives me an extra bullet, which one gives me an extra. Um, yeah, and I do find that sometimes confusing, and I've made mistakes in the past because of that.
yeah.
But maybe that's just a me issue, and I should probably learn to read.
I mean, unlike a lot of things we play, the actual rule is also written on the card underneath it. So that's definitely a you issue there, mate.
Hey, all right, okay. Strike
Um,
that from the record. It's
yeah.
just a Hannah learn to read
Um,
issue.
Set up and tear down is an absolute doddle.
Oh yeah,
Takes seconds, really, really quick. And the cards in general are nice. We've played it a fair bit, and I've not seen any issues with
dog-eared.
staining from the marker pens or anything like that. Everything sort of brushes off really easily, really clear. The components are decent quality. Like I'm quite impressed for what it is. You
Yep.
know, it's good. Okay, so how did you score it?
So I gave it a 7.
I gave it an 8 because I think components wise, it's pretty good. Like I've got very very little to hold against it.
Yeah, I've got very little to hold against it, but also there's not a huge amount to it.
Hmm.
So I felt
No,
like giving it any higher than that would be a bit.
yeah, I'm just judging it for what it is, and
Yeah.
yeah, 8
But
from me.
yeah, no real complaints.
Okay.
All right, so then we are on to complexity, and as always, it's not about how complex a game is or isn't, but how well the complexity serves the gameplay.
Yeah.
So I think this is really easy to teach and to learn. And one of the
Yes.
things that I will say about this is that there is no massive skill gap. So if you've played loads and loads of games,
Yeah.
you're not going to be a massive advantage compared to anybody else.
Not necessarily. No. No. It's quite level
Hmm.
playing field in that sense, which is nice for a co-op.
Yeah, I think it's really nice for a co-op, and I think because of that, it's got a really good spot on the shelf in
Mm.
terms of well, we'll
Come
talk
on
about
to
we'll
that.
come on to that in a minute. I'm racing ahead, but yeah, because of that, I think it does really well for me.
Yeah, I think again you go back to the core of this category. It's about how well the complexity serves the gameplay, and it's as complex as it needs to be. You know,
Hmm.
this is a light, fairly relaxed affair, and I don't think it needs much else. The only point where I wish there was a little bit more to it would be around the bosses. I wish there was a few more mechanics of difference, I guess, with the bosses, and I wish there was a little bit more to them. They all have a special ability, but they are quite simple and quite
Hmm.
sort of, it just does this extra damage because of this.
Or you have to do it in this order, or
Yeah. As a somebody who's played a fair few board games, I feel that's a little bit lacking for me. I feel like they could have added maybe an extra rule per boss or something like that, just to make them a little bit more unique and a little bit more exciting to play
hmm
against. So that is sort of a complexity thing for me. I think one of the things that you probably need to be aware of on the complexity scale for the listeners as such is if you struggle with spatial visualization in any way. So imagining how, if you wanted to sort of plan ahead, imagining how shapes would look on a grid, in your head, this might be one to avoid. I just think that's worth flagging up because a lot of it is sort of trying to figure out, oh, will I have space for this shape later on? And if your brain is wired in the way that Tetris makes you want to punch a wall,
Yeah, it's probably not for
definitely
you.
avoid.
And I would say as well, there is a particular character that I will not pick
Mm,
because I find their shapes really complicated,
really challenging
really
to
challenging.
think ahead with.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and you have to be able to leave that sort of that kind of option open to yourself in future, so you don't end up getting hemmed in and blocked in
yeah.
and completely wasting a turn. So yes, I would agree with that.
Okay. So on how do you score on complexity?
So I gave it an 8 because I think it's for what it is and for where it's at. I think it's bang on, really.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I gave it a 7, but I think I was going to give it an 8, but the reason I went with a 7 was because of that thing around the boss. I wish there was just a slightly bit more to them. And I think it could have had that without suffering much.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right. So then we are on to shelf life and value for money. So as always, how much does it retail for?
about £12.
Really?
Yeah,
See, I never know this before I do
I
this.
always like to surprise you with
Yes,
it.
I'm going to revise my rating.
uh,
So I think that's really, really good value for money.
Oh, compared to some things you pay, like small box games that you pay more than that for,
Yeah.
there's production values, etc. I
Hmm.
imagine being CMON, they can sort of swallow, although not now because they're in terrible trouble. This might date this podcast when we put it out, but it's a very low price point for what it is, in my opinion.
Yeah. And there is a lot of replayability with it. So you have, I'm going to say like six, probably more than that, characters in the box, and like
There's 6 characters in the box, I think.
it's probably about the same again,
Yeah.
bosses. So actually, you do have a huge amount of variability. And what's also really cool
Hmm.
about it,
Hmm.
well,
Okay.
well,
Yeah, I'll
well,
say my piece in a minute.
you also get different difficulties that you can play on. So you
Hmm.
can play easy, normal, hard,
There's 4 difficulties.
four different
Hmm.
difficulties. So again, if you've kind of got the basics down, you can then ramp that up
Hmm.
so that you can, you know, keep playing over and over again. And I think for 13 quid,
12. Yeah.
oh, just 12.99.
No, I said 12.
Oh, did you? Okay, right, fine. Just ignore you.
just
Just
make
make it up in my
just
head.
make it up. It's fine.
I think that's really really good value for money.
Yeah, I fully agree on the value for money front. I mean, this is absolutely worth a punt at that cost.
Hmm.
It's very very good value. Shelf life.
Hmm.
I I think this is a good game. We'll get onto it more with fun. But in terms of shelf life and me wanting to come back to this and back to this, not so much.
Right.
I think once I've seen and killed all the bosses, which we've almost done, I'm probably going to be like, oh, this will be a very occasional thing. I'll go, oh, let's have a quick game of that.
But I think we'll come on to this in our two-player rating categories. This is more of a party type game. It
I don't think it is, but we'll get onto that later
quite fair enough.
for a
Okay,
number of
fine.
reasons.
But
I
I
think this has another slot, which we hardly ever talk about, but again, we'll talk about in two play.
All right, okay, fine. So, but I would agree with you. I think
Mm,
for us, we're pretty much there. We're kind of done with it. We played it on all difficulties. We've seen pretty much all the bosses.
yeah,
We played most of the characters. In fact, all of the characters.
but if you
Probably done.
but if you want to put a metric to it, we've got well over £1 an hour
Yeah.
playtime. So I'm cool with that. I think it is worth it for the money, but I don't think it's one of those that's sort of you're going to keep playing for years. And as a result, I gave it a 6. I think it's just slightly above average.
Yeah. So I revised my score based on the price point, and I also gave it a 6.
If there was more longevity, we'd be talking in the 9 or 10s here. But I
Mhm.
just don't. I don't think the longevity for me is there. But as we're about to smoothly go on to,
Is it any fun?
yes, it is fun. I enjoy playing this. It's a bit of not turn your brain off, but it's actually quite a relaxing experience, I find.
Yeah, it is. There's no huge pressure. You get to pick who takes the zombies. So
Yeah.
if you're getting a bit swamped and you're not doing all that well, then the other person can take it. So there is like a lot of give and take to it, which means that you're never under a huge amount of pressure, which is nice.
Or you could just be really antagonistic and just refuse to take any zombies. I haven't tried that yet. I might try that in our next game. It's like, nope, nope, not doing it. Not doing it. Um, it's killing zombies and the general act of playing is quite satisfying.
The thing I didn't know about you, clearly what you find relaxing is con zombie apocalypse. You're going to sit there out the window and like, shoot them off Walking Dead style.
Yeah, it's also like weird weapons that, damage them in different ways.
Walking Dead style.
Exactly.
So I do have a slight problem with this.
Okay, go on.
Um,
Is
when
it the zombies? You're scared of zombies?
I'm not scared of
Yes,
zombies.
you are.
I'm a bit no, I'm not scared of zombies. I was a bit of a doomsday prepper at one point in my life, and I used to spend a lot of time thinking about zombies.
Mhm.
That has now passed. I
Okay.
used to never let my car get lower than half tank fuel in case of a zombie apocalypse. True story.
Real life has just ground you down to the point that you don't care anymore. Okay.
I welcome it. It happened, and I swore to God that they were about to rise from the dead were going to rise from their graves, and it didn't happen. So it's now kind of ruined it for me.
It's okay, the 5G killed them all.
Um, but the way in which you play it is that when you turn over the card and it tells you what weapon you're picking, you
Hmm.
then sit there and you silently mark it all off your sheet.
Uh-huh.
And we'll come on to this in the two-player rating scale, but I guess the lack of interactivity, I think,
Yeah,
is a bit of a
I've saved this for the category
yeah,
that we have for it. However, it is a valid point within fun because that lack of interactivity is a downside on it.
yeah.
And while I find it quite satisfying, it is a very, very solo experience, which
Hmm.
I'll again get onto, I think, in a little
Yeah.
while. But yeah, I mean, in general, this is a quick 20-minute, rather satisfying, rather enjoyable experience for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's still fun and I still enjoy playing it.
Mm,
I just think that's the one bit that's lacking
that's
for
really
me.
missing for you.
Yeah, but it's
Okay.
also what keeps it quick and snappy.
Yeah, yeah, I suppose in a way, yeah. So how did you score it for fun then?
6.
Yeah, I give it a 7.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
I think it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, should we add those up?
Yep. So we add up, average and round, and that gives us a total of 6.8, which rounds to a 7.
Yeah, I think that's solid.
Yeah. It's a good game.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm happy with 7.
Okay, so should we move on to our two-player categories?
Yes.
And first up, we have table talk and getting to know you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, as I've already said, this is, I guess, one thing that lets the game down for me.
Yeah.
You can quite happily probably play without talking to each other, even when you have long range on your weapons, i.e., you can kill a zombie on someone else's
Mhm.
map. I find that very rarely do I use that to kill any trash zombies for you.
No, yeah, it's kind of pointless. You
It's
usually
kind
have
of
got
pointless.
your own stuff going on.
Yeah. So it just comes to when you hit the boss, and even then, I feel it doesn't really, yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't really create a huge amount of options for interactivity.
Absolutely, yeah. I think from a perspective of the co-ops that I've played, this has probably got the least amount of interactivity, and this sort of spreads over the next category as well.
Mhm.
There's no reason to really consult with your partner.
I mean, sometimes we do, particularly when a
Mm.
new boss comes out, we'll be like, oh, okay, so here what we need to do is this.
But the plan's usually very, very obvious. Oh, you have to
Yeah.
do this before you can do this. There's a rule to this boss, and it's
Mm.
obvious for everyone to see. You read it, and then okay, fine, let's go. Yeah, it's not a game that promotes chat or
No.
banter or anything like that.
But on the other hand, it is really easy to play.
Mm.
And so if you wanted something, that you could play whilst talking about,
I don't know. I think it's a very snappy game, and I think the
mhm,
snappiness of it makes you just go bang, 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 bang. Let's get through it. There's not any downtime, so that's great. There's not any downtime. It's constantly engaging, and there's no you take a turn, I take a turn. Everything's simultaneous. So because of that, it's just basically heads down playing this solo thing together.
yeah,
Yeah, if you want that interaction, you want that table talk, this is not the game for it, in my opinion, at all.
no.
So as a result, I've given it a 3.
Yeah, so I've actually rated it a lot higher than that, and I don't really know why.
You're
Because
cheating
I
like that.
complained about it on several categories, and
Yeah,
maybe I
that's
got
confusing.
distracted.
Kind of wild rating scale comes
Yeah,
into
so I
play again.
actually scored it a 6, but I don't think that's right.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not above average in that sense, Hannah.
So I'm going to give it a 4.
Okay, all right. Okay, so I mean, I think that leads us really neatly into how good a co-op it is.
So I found this quite difficult to rate.
I didn't. I
You go
think
why?
I think a lot of the reasons we've just spoken about, there's very aside from the long range weapons thing, which allow you to damage an opponent zombie once in a while, and choosing what zombies who takes which zombies and when. there's not what I would expect from a co-op in there. There's very little strategy involved. There's very little. Oh, let's talk tactics,
Yeah. Uh,
which is what I like out of a co-op. You know.
yeah, I think there's very limited options for being able to help out your other players as well.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, there is. There's not much you can do aside from the long range
mhm.
weapon thing. There's pretty much nothing you can do to help them.
But one of the things that I will say for it is there is also quite a minimal opportunity for quarterbacking. So going back to what I was saying,
Yeah, yeah.
it's all kind of like
Can't
on
really
an equal
quarterback on this.
playing
Yeah,
field.
yeah,
And I think that particularly when you're talking about playing in a group setting, that's quite important.
yeah. And you don't have that negative side to a co-op of somebody obviously sort of letting the side down
Hmm.
either. I think again we played this with our 6-year-old
Hmm.
and it was absolutely fine.
Yeah,
She got it. She understood the rules. And I think it was gentle enough that she didn't. She sort of just did her own thing, and that
yeah.
was absolutely.
And we were able to just take the weight,
Yeah,
you know.
to a certain extent, I don't think we especially needed
No.
to as such. I think it's everybody sort of dealing with their own thing. But again, everybody dealing with their own space is not really what I want from a co-op. There's not
Hmm.
that cooperative working together element so much.
Yeah, I mean, if I think about our earlier games, definitely there was a level of satisfaction when we beat the boss.
Mm,
Um, However, what I would say is the more that I've played it,
the less satisfying it
less
is.
satisfying
Yeah,
it is. It's now, oh, we won or oh, we lost.
yeah.
There's not that huge pull behind
I
it.
suppose I should have mentioned this under fun, but we've tried 3 out of the 4 difficulties at 2 player, and
There's not a huge amount of
there's not a
difference.
huge amount of difference. I was expecting it to be more challenging, but we
Mm,
won our most the one we tried on hard with
mm,
ease. Now
yeah.
that we played it a few times, so there might be a little bit of a difficulty issue there as well. And when
You
you
talk about this scalability as well.
yes, but also under the co-op rating, the co-op should be hard. And I think we've won most of our games in this.
Should be hard.
I think they stay satisfying for longer when they're hard. I think this might. Oh God, I'm going to have to cut away for 10 minutes after saying that, aren't I? Oh, there's the episode title.
Okay, we're done.
Anyway, phrasing. We doing phrasing? Yeah, and we're back. I did have to cut out there unless you wanted to listen to 10 minutes of Hannah laughing, which you can get through the director's cut if you send me an email. So, anyway, back to how difficult co ops are and how much enjoyable they are when they're difficult. I do think co ops need a level of difficulty to have staying power. And I think this comes back to the shelf life
Hmm.
aspect to me. I think if you win most of your games in a co-op, it's going to get old a lot quicker than when you win like 30% of your games. And I think that's held true for every co-op I played, really.
Hmm.
So I think this does suffer a little bit in that sense at 2 players with the difficulty. I think you'll crack it fairly quickly, and it starts to become a bit too easy.
Okay, fair enough. So how did you rate it then?
I gave it a 4.
Yeah, so I was a bit on the fence because I do think so. I think the reason I struggled to rate this was because a lot of my issues around the cooperability nature of it are around that interactivity. Kind of
Mm,
really talked about that.
mm.
So hence why I think I find it difficult to rate. So I kind of settled on a 6.
Yeah, fine. Seems a bit high, given your issues with it.
Well, I didn't want to like score it down for the same thing twice.
Okay, I guess, but they are very, very interlinked, aren't they?
Yeah, they are very interlinked, and I do feel like we are working together towards killing something
Mm.
together. It's just that
It's
we're
just
doing
the
it
together
separately.
is just there because we're in the same room. The
With
rules,
yeah,
but
pretty much.
it's not really coming up with a plan. The plan is kill the zombies. Like sort your own shit out. I'll sort my own shit out, and then we'll.
Plan do you
Mm.
need?
Okay, fine. Yeah,
Kill
well,
the
yeah,
fucking zombies.
yeah.
Kill the big fucking zombie.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Kill the big fucking zombie is also another episode title, but I think we found our episode title. Um. Okay. Fine. Shall we talk about scalability? Because I think this is an interesting
This
one.
it is really interesting, isn't it? I've been thinking about
Yeah.
this quite a lot. You go.
Okay. So this works, but let's get out of the way to start with. This works absolutely fabulously at 2.
Yeah,
Like, really, really works.
except for it's not as much fun because it's not as hard for long.
Yeah, enough. Leave it now. Um, So works absolutely fine at two. In fact, I'd say it's almost at its best at two. The only thing that I'd probably say it's better at is solo. I think that if you are a solo board gamer, this is a great thing to crack out to kill 20 minutes because it essentially is a solo game that you play together. And I could absolutely, if you're the kind of person that if you want to kill some time, you play a hand of solitaire or something, this would absolutely, oh,
Just to point out, they do have one player variants
yes, they do.
of your
Yeah,
heroes, so to
yeah,
speak. They've got like a separate side.
yeah. They have a different side. There's no rules changes as such when you play solo.
I imagine you've just got more level ups.
No, it's pretty much exactly the same. I know there's some slight differences. Anyway, I think the only thing that works better at than two is one. I don't think I'd ever say that about a game, but this feels like a solo game to me.
I think what really surprised me is when we went up to
Yeah, I
three
was about to get
players.
onto that. I just wanted to get the solo thing out the way.
Okay,
But
you nearly
you
thought
go,
about it.
you. So we have played this at three. You go.
And what absolutely shocked me was just how more difficult it was at three.
To the point that it is nigh on unwinnable, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, to be fair, we only gave it one go, but
Yeah, but it was horrendous.
however, I've been thinking about this for quite some
Mm.
time. The difference when you then up your number of players is quite often, so your boss will, sometimes they do damage to every player, but
Yeah.
more often than not, it will just do damage to the player that they're in front of.
Mm.
So the more players you have, the more watered down that is and the longer your staying power.
Yes, it is. That's true. And the boss is still the same boss that you'd have
Yeah, with the same number of hit
same number of hit
points.
points. The problem comes is the amount of zombies spawning, and people just get completely and utterly overwhelmed. That's right. And that's to do with so you have cards for every player count, and you have a number of zombies that spawn depending on your player
And
count
the difficulties.
and your difficulties, obviously. But we were playing on easy, so we were playing on the lowest option, and we were utterly overwhelmed almost immediately. So I feel like they've got the balance wrong
Mm.
there.
I
It
mean, I'd
does,
still like to test it a couple more times because, again, there is an
mm,
element of like luck to that as well.
but that's not what we're about as a podcast.
Mm.
But I think
Yeah, it's true.
we're talking about how we're playing this at two. I think two is the best. Well,
Yeah,
not the best. I think solo is the best personally. I think if you're a solo gamer, this is a 10 in this category. But for two players, it works really really well.
yeah.
Like the balance is right. Might be a bit too easy for two. Again, maybe that's a balance thing. Maybe they should have made two play a little bit harder and three a little bit easier. Maybe that's a playtest balance thing.
House rule it as well.
Yeah, of course you are. I
Wanting
mean,
to
it's
like add
co-op.
new
It's a
zombies.
co-op. You can do what you like. There's no like rules judge standing over your shoulder going, "No, play this way." But
I also think what's worth noting as well is that obviously in the first round that you do when you don't have the big boss in front of you,
mm,
it is just spawning zombies,
yeah,
right? So you do end up at a point where you just feel a little bit overwhelming
but
because
not to
not
the
done.
level that
But
was.
when you have the big boss in front of you, the actual number of zombies that then spawn are fewer and fewer.
Yeah, yeah, no, they
So
are.
there is that balancing act as well. It's kind of
Yeah,
an element of you need to upgrade all your equipment and
mm,
survive, and then you just, take down the big boss.
yeah, fine, okay. But again, going back to the core of this, does it cry out for more players?
No.
Absolutely not. You got more people. There's other things you can play that are
So
much more
actually, you'd
fun than
rather
this.
play it without me.
Hmm? No, I don't play solo games. But if you are that way inclined, I think this would be an absolute banger.
Yeah. How did you
Um,
rate it then?
I gave it a 9 because there's not much bad to say about it. There's nothing wrong with it at all in two player, aside from it maybe being a little bit too easy.
Yeah, so 8. I gave it an 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's add those up. Okay, so that gives us a 5.6, which rounds out to a 6.
I think what's really interesting is it's like almost a game of two halves, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the how well it plays at two is carrying the load there. I think if you want an interactive and a proper co-op experience, beware.
Yeah.
But if you want a nice, easy, relaxing, turn your brain off a little bit, two-play experience where perhaps you don't want to talk to the person you're playing with, then this is ideal. And I think just in general, I think for its low price point, its great production values, and the decent amount of fun we've had with it, I recommend overall. I think this is a good one.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you very much for joining us, and until next time, have fun, be good to each other, and play lots of board games.